We're going to look at some of the unsettling places on Earth for this list. Whether it's because of their creepy lore and history, their inherent danger, or their unique physical appearance, these places can be scary. The Czech Republic's All Saints Cemetery appears to be just like any other small-town cemetery. However, under the surface, it is a serial killer's lair. The Sedlec Ossuary in Sedlec, Czech Republic, holds the skeletons of between 70,000 and 100,000 people. It is artistically arranged to make various attractions and furnishings, such as a chandelier composed of every bone in a human body. Since the 13th century, this area has been a popular burial site, and it contains many victims of the Black Death and Hussite Wars. Built around 1400, the ossuary contained the remains of those interred in mass graves on a nearby plot. Chillingham Castle certainly lives up to its name. This medieval castle is located in northern Northumberland and dates back to the 12th century, when it served as a monastery. In the late 13th century, King Edward I of England visited it on his way to fight William Wallace. The most haunted castle in Britain is known primarily for its resident, Blue Boy. Guests would allegedly hear wailing and see a blue halo floating above their beds. However, the hauntings have reportedly stopped after renovation work uncovered the bones of a young boy buried within the walls. Snake Island is probably occupied by something you can guess. It is a small, 106-acre island located off the southeastern coast of Brazil. There are untold numbers of snakes on the island, which became trapped on the island after rising sea levels cut it off from the mainland. Golden lanceheads, a highly venomous pit viper that devours birds, can only be found here, the only place on Earth where they exist. Approximately 4,000 golden lanceheads live on the island. Snake Island cannot be visited by citizens, both to protect the snakes from prying eyes and to prevent the humans from becoming a snake victim. Only selected researchers and members of the Brazilian Navy are allowed there. What about health and safety? The Yungas Road connects La Paz with the greater Yungas region of Bolivia. Yungas Road was nicknamed the Road of Death due to its complete lack of safety precautions. The road itself is very thin, which makes mistakes difficult. There are no guardrails, the slopes are steep, and the area is frequently drenched in heavy rain and fog, making travel extremely hazardous. The route has been paved for driving, but Yungas remains a popular tourist spot due to its world-class mountain biking, even though 18 cyclists have been killed on the route since 1998. Don't bother with the Paris catacombs. The catacombs in Palermo, Sicily were excavated by monks in the 16th century beneath the overcrowded Capuchin monastery. Being buried within the Capuchin catacombs soon became a status symbol, and the catacombs were maintained by the rich relatives of the entombed. According to an estimate, the catacombs contain 8,000 corpses and 1,252 mummies, all of which are visible to the public and even set in various poses. The bodies are grouped into different sections of the catacombs, such as men, women, and children. Rosalia Lombardo, a one-year-old child whose preserved body is in exceptional condition, was also buried in the catacombs. A deteriorating and abandoned hospital is a creepy place by its very nature, let alone one with such a rich and disturbing history. There are around 60 buildings in this large hospital complex in Belitz, Germany. Before being converted to a war hospital, the hospital served as a tuberculosis sanatorium. The hospital housed injured soldiers of the Imperial German Army, including Adolf Hitler after he was wounded at the Battle of the Somme. During World War II, it was occupied by the Red Army and remained a Soviet military hospital until the early 1990s. After being abandoned in 1994, most of the complex is now a derelict ghost town. An area of Pennsylvania has been on fire since 1962. As of the early 1960s, Centralia was home to roughly 1,500 residents, but the area suffered a coal mine fire that is estimated to burn for another 250 years. One of the major detrimental effects wasn't discovered until 1981, when a sinkhole opened randomly and nearly killed a 12-year-old boy. In 1990, the government bought out most of the residents and relocated them, leaving just 63 people. At present, the town is home to fewer than a dozen residents, and various signs warn of sudden ground collapses and fatal carbon monoxide levels. By 2020, a graffiti highway that became a destination spot in the area will be paved over. As it turns out, dolls populate many areas throughout the world. Nagoro is a village in Japan that is famous for its countless life-size dolls. One of the most bizarre structures in Mexico City is La Isla de los Mu*Ecas, a small island in Xochimilco's canals. There are hundreds of dolls on the island, most of which are hung from the trees. According to legend, the spirit of a young girl haunted the island, forcing its owner to hang dolls from trees to appease her ghost. In 2001, the owner of the island passed away and the island became a popular tourist destination, despite the superstitions of some locals. Here's a ghost town. Pripyat is what was called a nuclear city, as it housed the employees of the nearby Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Pripyat was the home of thousands of citizens until the power plant exploded on April 26, 1986, spreading a tremendous amount of radiation to the surrounding area. Despite dozens of people falling ill and showing signs of acute radiation sickness, the town was not immediately evacuated. A 36-hour evacuation was ordered 36 hours after the blast, and the city remains abandoned for long-term residents, although governmental authorities continue to work in the area, and tourism is still limited. Now it is part of the Chernobyl exclusion zone. It turns out that the door to hell exists, and it's located in Turkmenistan. Darvaza gas crater is located in the village of Derwiz, which was unintentionally formed by Soviet engineers drilling for oil in 1971. Engineers feared dangerous methane gas was going to escape from the crater, so they lit it on fire to burn it off. Throughout the decades, the crater has kept burning without slowing down. As a result, the Karakum Desert now has a 100-foot deep crater that is constantly burning. The site is naturally off-limits to tourists as well as to almost all documentarians.